Hey everybody, welcome to Unscripted, where we are all about having better conversations and thinking more deeply and critically about faith, life, and leadership. And today I'm here with our second special guest, Shawn Clauson. How are you doing, Shawn?
I'm doing great. I'm a little nervous.
You're a little nervous?
I'm used to being on the other side through the camera.
Yeah, you've been helping film this thing. And how do you feel about that?
It's cool.
It's
I
cool.
Like it. I'm really enjoying it. So yeah.
Okay.
I can't say enough.
That's awesome. Well, let me give everybody who's listening or watching a little bit of background. Shawn joined staff not that long ago, and he is our worship director, and he's been crushing it. He's been doing such an awesome job. It's been super fun. And then I thought this would be a really fun chance for people to get to know you a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I'm looking over there and I'm seeing notes, and I think this is funny because you don't know what's coming.
I have no idea what
but you still came prepared. Like, this is who you are. Like,
Yeah,
you come prepared no matter what.
I have no idea what you're gonna say, so that's what makes it nervous.
I love it. This is so great. Okay, very, very cool. First, I just want to have people maybe get a little glimpse inside who Shawn is. So, can you just tell us a little bit about your family? Tell me about your family.
Sure. So, believe it or not, I grew up on a dairy farm.
Oh, that's great.
And a lot of people, they know me from my, rock and background with rock music. But I actually started, my first introduction into music was Johnny Cash.
Oh, that's great.
George Jones, all of the really old country and Western. You haven't heard that in a long time. Remember country and Western?
Yeah, totally. You're right.
And so I actually grew up with more like watching Hee Haw. And my dad, he loved country music, but he was a really super hard worker. And being on a dairy farm, anybody who's farmed with dairy knows you have to milk the cows at least twice a day. Some people do 3 times a day, which means you have to get up at 4 in the morning. So I had to, I had a really great work ethic as a kid because that's what I knew. In the morning before school, get up, get the cows ready, and my dad would milk the cows, and then I had to get ready for school.
Yeah.
But you also have to get the barn smell off, right?
Yeah.
So I was always really nervous about like changing my clothes because I didn't want to go to school and have the smell of the barn. But it was an awesome life that I didn't realize until I got older. It was a lot of work, but I just learned a lot about life on that farm.
That's amazing.
And I was able, because I didn't, when you're on a farm, you don't have a lot of people to hang, and a lot of friends because, they're farther away, they're spread apart. So I had to keep myself occupied, and that was with the guitar.
That's amazing.
So at the age of around 5, I started playing guitar, and my mother and her whole side of the family is very musical. So my grandpa taught me how to play.
Oh, wow.
And I started playing when I was really young. And, really didn't like it a real lot when I was younger because everybody just had me play the same 3 country chords over and over again.
That's amazing. It's something funny. I just want to relate to you for a second. My earliest memories growing up are hearing country music in the barn because when I was 6 years old, we sold the cows and did strawberries. And so at 6 years old, I remember like being in the barn and hearing country music blaring over the radio. So I just thought that it's just so interesting to like hear you talk about that. But you say you're playing guitar. They always had you play the same 3 chords.
Yeah, and so it was like, okay, I'll play guitar. I had an older brother, my older brother Brent, and he started playing steel guitar, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And but he just would sit me down and make me play the same 3 chords over and over again while he practiced. And so I got really good at rhythm guitar.
For sure.
And then as I got a little older, it's kind of like, okay, not really that into it. But then when I got older and I heard an album, a friend of mine brought over a Van Halen album.
What a like crazy difference that must have been. Like, rock your world.
When I heard Edward Van Halen play guitar, I was like, I have to do this. Somehow I have to figure out how he's doing this. It was just I couldn't figure it. Like, it was so amazing to me.
Wow.
So that was kind of the start of something.
I can imagine.
And so, I got... hope this doesn't get too long story.
No, this is great. I want to hear everything.
So then as I got a little older, I started getting into bands. And I was actually pretty good guitar player at a younger age. So I was playing with a lot of kids that were older than me. So like when I was in 13, I was playing in bands, with kids that were 17. 18, which led me in a lot of places I probably shouldn't have been in things and playing places. But then when I got a little older and I decided I wanted to maybe make it a career, so I actually moved out to Seattle for a year and a half, and then I moved out to Los Angeles. And I was in Los Angeles working with a band for about 4 years.
What was that like?
Was really, there's something about LA, you see that everybody thinks it's a great place, and there are a lot of great things about Los Angeles, but there's an underside to Los Angeles that a lot of people don't know. And it's imagine a cake with this great frosting. It looks so great to eat, but then when you cut into it, it's all rotted in the middle. I feel like there's a lot of that, a lot of the underside of what everything looks glitzy and glamorous in Los Angeles. There's a dark side there. I want to go back and film some of the areas because I know all the good and all the bad. I was there for 4 years, and I know all the the spots, and I know what it's like. And to see people struggling, a lot of people came there and had broken dreams and that. And but for me, it was an amazing experience of learning. I can tell you that I learned probably way more in Los Angeles than I did, as I went through college and that. So it was just an amazing experience. And I was playing on what they call the Sunset Strip. I was in a band there that, we played places like the Roxy and the Whiskey, and these were like famous places that we got to play. So it was a pretty cool thing. That's
amazing. Yeah. That's crazy. So you experienced such a unique world in those 4 years. I'm just curious, like, why'd you leave?
Well, as I started, it always felt like there was something missing. And I was doing the music, and I was, you kind of get off in a direction. I love the Lord, but I was in my own world. I kind of got pulled into, everything about what I want to do with my music career. And it just always felt a little empty. And I was kind of searching, and I got a job offer back in Wisconsin. And so I took the job, and I moved back because I missed my family.
Yeah. And
I started to see, like I said, that kind of that dark underbelly of the music world in Los Angeles. And I just, I seen things in Los Angeles that, you would be like, I don't even know how that's possible. I would have never thought of that. I seen some atrocious things, and it really made me think about, what do I really want? And I realized that's not really what I wanted. So I moved back, and still loving my music, doing some things, and I got in some bands back here. But then I started going to Ripon Community Church.
Why did you choose to even show up on the first time? I'm just curious.
I was a little nervous. It was like in the beginning. You guys hadn't been going that long, and I'd heard about it a little bit, and I thought I'm going to go there, and I was really nervous going in a little bit, even though I'd been to church, and my family was Methodist, and I'd been to church, and so I understood, going to church. It's still a little nervous with me with my long hair and everything, and I walked in, and I remember I was like, I wonder, am I dressed right or whatever? And I walk into, Ripon Community Church, and the first thing I see is there's this guy with a black leather jacket and hair down to his waist, sitting in one of the back chairs, and I'm like,
that's so great.
Oh, I'm sitting next to this guy.
That's so great.
And I started to look around, and I seen everybody, just. They were there for the Lord, and it just felt very comfortable right away.
Oh,
it just felt like I fit in almost immediately. It was such an awesome feeling. And so after a while, I asked, if could I maybe play guitar. So I started playing guitar a little bit. And that's, I think, really when I really started to grow a lot spiritually and ask the Lord into my life, and one of the things that I remember really fondly is we also, you were on Saturdays, you were doing some things at Mugs, and we were doing some outreach things, and I was asked to do that, and I went to that, and I was playing. Maybe there was 40 or 50 people there.
Yeah,
it wasn't a lot of people, and I was doing I think it was Redeemed, a song called Redeemed, and O Rugged Cross. And I felt this presence inside of me, and that it was the most amazing feeling. It was just, I mean, I still to this day, you know, it makes me, I had something that I had never really fully felt to that degree. Okay.
Yeah.
And what was weird about that is the very next week I was still in the rock band that I was in.
Yeah.
And we were playing at Rock USA, and we were one of the bands that got to open up for the rock band Kiss.
That's crazy. That's incredible.
On the main stage, and the stage was like huge. It was like a football field. It was so big, and they had this big, you know, screens that they had. And we went out there, and we were this little band on this huge stage, you know. And I was playing, and I was like, we were all into it, you know. We were going on, and while I was playing, these cameramen were running around with these cameras, and they were running all around. And I was like kind of standing doing a solo like this.
Yeah.
And I was like playing my solo, and all of a sudden I seen this thing come from between my legs, and it was this guy with a camera. He was behind me, and he was putting the camera up, and he was pulling the camera, and I was like, "What's going on?" I'm playing the solo, and it was so cool. But what I really remember about that moment is when I was like, okay, this is, you know, there was thousands of people there, but I didn't have that feeling. Is it that feeling that I had at Muggs? With 40 people, and it was so much more intense.
That's incredible.
And because I really felt the Holy Spirit, you know, and I really felt the Holy Spirit working through me. And that's when I realized this is what I want. This is, you know, to have the Holy Spirit and the power of the Holy Spirit. There's nothing more powerful than that.
That's,
you know,
insane. So I want to ask you that. Like, that's the question. And we'll get to some more stuff in a little bit, but you have this moment where you're with just a bunch of 40 regular people showing up on a Sunday morning or Saturday night or whenever it was. And then not that long later, you're playing for tons of people on a big stage, and the 40 people and the intimacy and the purpose was different.
Yes.
And that's what you wanted more. So I'm trying to think of the question that has to be asked, because there's a question here. Has that feeling, because it's more than an emotion, right? Like, why is it more than an emotion? And like, why was it so compelling?
You know, I think for me, my whole life, you know, I love music. And so it was kind of striving, but when the Holy Spirit works through you, there's a fulfillment of purpose, of doing what, you know, the Lord's will, and the feeling of like, actually, it's such a feeling of, this is where I want to be. I'm where I want to be, and you can't get that any other way. You know, when you're on the path and you're asking the Lord, you know, what is my purpose? And then you get to do that and feel that. I don't think, you know, there's anything else that feels better than that. Does that answer your question? Or?
It totally answers my question, and it gives me about 500 more. But I love that, because so you are the worship director here, but worship is more than singing. Worship is absolutely singing, but worship is more than that. And I'm curious. I mean, you went from music as a performance and as a thing that like is really about like becoming a star, right? Like that's kind of the purpose of a rock band, is to be this whatever, to wanting to focus on being a worship leader.
Yeah.
How does worship music, do you feel like, what role does that play for you in a person's life? Like, because it's not just about worship as in singing like that, because worship is more than that. How do those two things go together? Like worship as in your life and worship as in worship music. Yeah, I'm curious what you think about that.
Well, see, I was hoping you would ask a question like that.
You're really good at anticipating some questions.
So I just want to read to you, I know you know this verse, but John 4:23 and 24. But the time is coming, indeed, it's here now, when true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. The Father is looking for those who will worship him that way. For God is spirit, so those who worship him must worship in spirit and in truth.
Okay.
And when you realize that, when it's, as I come here and I'm not really leading the worship. The Holy Spirit's leading the worship. I'm helping that to happen, So I'm kind of like a worship helper.
Okay.
But it's really the Holy Spirit. It's the Holy Spirit, and you can't accomplish true worship without the Holy Spirit.
Yes, I completely agree with you. So you can't accomplish true worship without the Holy Spirit. And then when you experience worship in this church atmosphere, group of people gathered together, and God's Holy Spirit is there, like in you, and you can tangibly feel it. God's Holy Spirit is always there, but like you can tangibly feel it. What kind of difference does that make? Like you walk out of the door, then for you, like what's the hope that does?
My hope is really that we brought people closer to the Lord, and I've seen that and felt that people get to experience when you sing to the Lord. It's more than just you're singing praises to the Lord, and that's awesome, but it's also a rejuvenating feeling, and it's healing. You can get healing out of just singing to the Lord. That the Lord gave us this as a gift. We're singing praises to the Lord, but the Lord really gave us singing and song as a gift to us. And I really encourage, I know a lot of people are a little afraid to sing and go out of their comfort zone, but it's really worth it. It's really worth it when you sing. And you can sing in your heart too. I know some people that are like, well, I sing, but I'm singing in my heart. I'm not really singing out loud. But there is a truly freeing experience when you just sing to the Lord and you don't care about if your voice cracks or whatever. I mean, I remember when I first started, I was a little nervous because I push it pretty hard when I sing. And I'm like, one of these days my voice is just going to crack and it's just going to be so bad.
Yeah.
And I was worried about it. And I remember one day it happened.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It was a really bad crack. So, and I started laughing. I was up there and we were doing the song and I started laughing because I realized how ridiculous that was to be worried about that.
No kidding.
And I realized that was awesome because I gave it my all and I knew I gave it my all, and yeah, I missed. But
who cares, right? That's awesome.
Everything that I've read in the Bible, the Lord wants our all. He doesn't want, halfway. He wants us to give it our all. So when we sing to the Lord, sometimes I'll ask everybody, just you can shout, it's okay. You can lift your hands. You can, you can do whatever the Holy Spirit, whatever you feel like you want to do. Mm-hmm. And because I think that's really important to just release and really let the Holy Spirit come in. And boy, there's not a better feeling than that. So
you said something that reminds me of a comment you made in sometimes before a song, you'll kind of help us get ready to sing the song.
Yeah.
And one of the things you said was, worship is healing.
Yes.
And you just mentioned that. How have you experienced worship to be healing for you in your life?
I've had, when you're going through it, I know every one of us has went through a lot of stress at times, went through a lot of issues and and struggles with the family and everything. And sometimes I'd be really tired and I'd be like, boy, that's just going to be hard to do Sunday because I'm really tired out, but every time after I got done singing, I felt so rejuvenated. I felt like I just slept 12 hours or something and I was like ready to go. And it's amazing the amount of healing that you got out of that. And there's been times when one time I was going to sing and my voice was gone. I was sick and my voice was completely like it wasn't there. And so, let's see what happens. We went into the rehearsal and it wasn't there. And I'm like, what should I do? And I remember, Mike said, just go for it.
Yeah.
And I said a prayer And I'm telling you, the first note came out. My voice was completely hoarse and gone, clear as a bell, the whole time. And I realized if the Lord wants it to happen, it's going to happen. You don't need to worry about it. You just go for it, you know. And maybe there's times when the Lord doesn't want it to be so good, and that's okay too. So, you know, it's really about just really feeling the Holy Spirit, and really everybody will move closer to the Lord when that happens. So
that's amazing. I have 2 more questions for you. Maybe more, but 2 more that are in my head right now. First is this. I've experienced this on plenty of occasions where I just don't want to sing.
Yeah.
Like I'm just sitting there and I just don't want to sing. I'm tired. I feel far from God. I feel just a lack of energy and a lack of connection. And I just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Have you felt that? And if you felt that, like how have you powered through that?
Absolutely. I think everybody has felt that. And I think there's times when we come to church, we're very tired. The way that I prepare for that is before I start singing, I always take time to just think about, what am I really thankful for? What has the Lord done for me personally? What's he done for my family? And there's so much to be thankful for the Lord. And that gets me excited. And sometimes I get so excited that I just kind of come out in the first song maybe a little over, you know. Yeah. It's like, you know, when Brett Favre was in the Packers, you know, and he would come out and a lot of times all excited in the very first throw. He would throw it 10 feet over everybody's heads. Remember that?
Totally.
Because he was just so excited. So you can get that back. You know, you have to pray about it. You have to pray about it to the Lord, but spend some time thinking about how much the Lord means to you. Yeah. And you'll get a lot of energy out of that.
Yeah. I love it. Last question-ish thing that I've got for you is when we got to have you on staff, we also kind of get to have your family around a little bit, and so that's been really fun. So tell us a little bit about your wife and your daughter. I get to have her doing video for the stage stuff, for the live video. She's been doing that. That's been really cool. But just tell me about your family a little bit.
Yeah, you know, I'm married to this wonderful wife. Her name's Elizabeth, and we actually met. I was out and I was you know, promoting a band I was in, and I had these flyers, and I seen this really cute girl.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm not much for talking to, you know, I'm kind of a little bit shy that way. But I had a flyer, and I'm like, hey, you should come to our show.
What a great way to do it.
But I am so blessed. She's so amazing, so beautiful, both in and out. And then we had our daughter, Priscilla, who's 13 now. Yeah. And she's really into like aerial silk and all cool acrobatic stuff that she can do is pretty amazing.
That's so cool.
And just so you know, full of joy to have my family. So they're just great, you know. And I've learned more from having a child than anything. I think the wisdom, and you know, when you have a child, it really does take the focus off yourself a lot. Yeah. And so you start to realize, you know, there's a life outside just yourself, right? And so it's just been awesome. So
thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you so much for sharing all of this stuff. Man, I feel like we could sit and chat about this stuff all day. Oh, yeah. But we don't have all day because we got Easter coming up. And it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be so awesome.
I can't wait.
We have the music, and I know the whole service is it's just going to be wonderful. So
yeah, you told me about some of the stuff. And like literally when you were showing me like, hey, this is kind of what we're going to do, I literally got chills. Like, I can't wait to be there. So if you're listening right now, you can register. Yeah. So go to the ribbonchurch.com and there's a link to register there because it's going to be awesome. We have 3 services on Sunday morning. But then also, thanks for listening. Share this with some people. If you think that they need some encouragement about worship or just want to help them get to know Shawn, you can subscribe on YouTube or on Spotify or iTunes, and you can follow us at RCC Unscripted on Instagram. Those are some fun ways to share this stuff. But Shawn, thank you so much. You are just jumping on here, and it was fantastic. So thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much, too. And, you know, I just want to say if anybody has songs that really touch them, they can send them my way, and we'll listen to them, because I really love to do songs that really touch everybody's heart in a certain way. So.
Man, that's a perfect picture of you wanting to help people connect in that way. It's awesome. So thank you, everybody, and we will see you next week.
See ya.